sorry for the short notice. I just wanted to come on and say hi to you folks. Just talk about a couple things really quickly. Looks like I'm popping my collar here. First of all, well, I just saw this thing up on StockTwits right now, actually, that distracted me. Take a look. I mean, I don't know where people get this stuff from. It doesn't. People say stuff with technical analysis with the VIX, and it drives me nuts. Let's just take a look at this quickly, and I don't mean to like pick on a specific person. This is nothing personal here, but this is what this guy says on the TVIX. He says, TVIX, well, I guess I was thinking he said TVIX stalled at the trend line. So I forgive him. But the point is that you should not use technical analysis for TVIX because it's not applicable because technical analysis does not have a spot for you to put in contango or backwardation. It doesn't have a spot to like you to adjust for the futures. If you could adjust for the futures, then technical analysis might make a little more sense in VIX products. But as it is, there's no place on the chart for you to adjust for the futures. And if the futures are in steep contango, then the chart is going to have to be tilted downward, right? To make any sense at all, because you have this decay going on, which you cannot put on a technical analysis chart. That's just one of the few problems with technical analysis. I misread this guy behind me. I was thinking he was saying TVIX stalled at the trend line. Saying that the ES stalled at the trend line, you're at least talking about the underlying SPX. So that's a little bit more forgivable. So that guy gets a pass for now. Okay, so I want to ask you guys one thing. When you come into the day, you should be asking yourself in the morning, what is the theme today? So what would you, somebody put in chat, or if you want, what do you think the theme was today as we came in? Because we want to get our bearings when we address the market in the morning and figure out what's going on. Echo, huh? Hold on, let me try to fix it. Hello. You still hear an echo? I'm not sure why that is. Let me check one more thing. Let me see if I'm... I'm not sure why that is. Is it still echoing? Sorry about that. I don't hear it where I am. Anyways, let me continue. Does it sound like really bad? Can you not understand what I'm saying? Okay, good. All right. Now, the volume on my computer isn't on. That's why I'm using an earphone. I'm not sure why that happened, but sometimes I leave a screen open and it feeds back really bad. But hopefully it's better. So anyways, let me just repeat. We want to look at a theme. Oh, on the other person's. It's possible. Unless he has a microphone on, though, and it's feeding back. I'm not sure. Anyway, I want to make sure you guys can hear okay. We want to look for a theme when we come into the day. And, possible themes. Let me just give you an idea of what I was thinking of as a theme today when I came in. I mean, the most obvious thing for me was that we had come back from Sunday night. So I was like, well, we were down Sunday night a little bit. We were down like 1.5%, and then I woke up and we're up to unchanged. So to me, it felt like the theme was not the market wasn't going to move that much today, and volatility could be coming in. The other theme could be, any news story. I mean, you don't have to necessarily have the same theme as I do when you're looking at the market in a day, but you should be thinking when you come in the morning, what's going on here? What's the theme? And as the day progressed, for at least the VIX, it really became a story of the term structure unwinding. And we saw the VIX way down, but the VIX futures not down as much. So we had the VIX down 8, the front future down 3.6, the second future down 2. And actually, during certain parts of the day, we had the VIX down like 5 and the products like UVXY, VXX, TVIX not down at all or even up. And the reason I put TVIX on borrowed time in the title is we can have a day like this when we're very extended where the VIX comes in 8 points and the futures don't move that much. But if we start putting together days, consecutive days, like if tomorrow the market is not down, if tomorrow the market's sideways or up, and we get another, we can only have VIX down 8 points with the stuff not moving very much before it finally catches up. What do I mean by catching up? What I mean is that we are inverted in the term structure right now, and the VIX, what it wants to do is it wants to go down below the price of the futures, and it's made some good progress towards that end today. I think 2 sessions ago, there was like 14 points between the closest future and the VIX spot. Right now, when we look at the closest future, the difference is, let's see, 49.8 to 57, so about a little over 7 points. Now, in normal times, 7 points is a huge distance between the spot VIX price and the futures. You know, if somebody just shot this chart up on the screen randomly during a normal market rally, and you just saw the screen, you would say, "Oh, we're in the middle of a huge spike. This is amazing." It must be a huge spike going on. But the reality of our situation that we're in right now is this is actually better than we were a day ago. And what we'd really like to see for stuff to chill out is for another day like today. If we could have the VIX down 8 again and the futures only down 3 again, that would be a net of, of 5 points closer to bringing in that spread. What we want is we want this VIX to slowly go down below the futures so we can go back into contango. And like I said, we've made some good progress towards that end today. All right, so the other thing that's going on is there are stocks that are coming up on earnings. So let's start getting ready for some earnings. I just looked at some stocks, and there are some just crazy high volatility issues out there, but the high volatility seems to make sense. Let's take a look at a couple of them really quick now. One of the ones I looked at is RH. Now, I guess rich people might say this isn't a luxury place, but for me, it's a luxury home items store. And I think earnings are either today. Let's take a look. I think earnings are today. I guess I should have prepped better right before this. So, all right, so Mrs. Sales Estimates. All right, so earnings just happened, I guess. At 4 o'clock. Let's see what we've got here. So it ripped lower and then it came back so far. And really hasn't moved all that much. So the volatility in these options we can see on the close here. The front week volatility 220, second week 170. That's a $100 stock. These are pretty high numbers. And these numbers are going to come in. It was estimating a $24 move. Now, obviously, earnings are on a Monday, so there's 4 more days in the week. But $24 up or down move, it looks like it's going to go under that at this point. We're kind of rallying back. There's a small chance we could be unched after this. And, it's really sketchy during this earnings cycle, because if we have a good market day but a company has bad earnings, the company could be up. If we have good earnings but the market's on a free fall day, stuff could be down. So there's a lot of volatility out there, and I'd look at some of these issues coming into earnings because they are rich. Now, some of them, the volatility is justified. You're going to have to make that determination. Let's look at another one for a second, which is kind of in the same industry, Wayfair. Look at the ride that this issue has had in the last little while. Look at this. The last 20 days, we went from 64 down to 21. Now we're back up 51. It's just all over the place. And yeah, if you look at the options, once again, volatility is in the 200s for a $50 stock. But I mean, this thing is just all over the board. Another one I was looking at, which is a really, I consider like a blue chip staple stock that every like conservative fund manager has this in their basket of stocks, which would be J&J. And this one you can see, you really have to look at the axes of the chart, because it looks like a bigger move, but if you look, the bottom here is 107, the top is 145. This hasn't moved all that much. Look, from the 3rd of March, it was 144. Now it's 133. So it got down to 109, but it's come back most of the way right now. And we can't have all the stocks down as much as some of these really bad ones, because otherwise the market would be way lower right now. But let's look. Here's a loser. You got to think a lot of people made this play. It was on TheoTrade and stuff like a week ago, that this was oversold, coming from 33 all the way down to 7. I mean, that was a big sell-off, but it had this little run up, and I think probably a lot of like retail got in like right here, and now it's given back a lot. I think people, realizing the reality of like what you're doing when you're buying a cruise ship during this situation, where like, who knows, I'm not an expert in cruises or something, but the cruise world may not be the same for 20 years after all of this stuff happened. So there's obviously value out there, but you got to kind of pick and choose. We've seen the market go from, I got to fix my filter here. I look like very patchy here. Let me see if I can just fix it really quick. It seems like the market has gone from a stock market where everything moves in tandem with each other, to more of a market of stocks where like different issues are moving different amounts. And we saw that start to diverge last week. To me, it's a sign that the worst may be over when you've got individual stocks doing their own thing. And certainly, I would be going through your lists of different stocks and seeing what's out there, seeing what there is to do. I was looking at this one, MNK, which is a perennial favorite of mine. Mallinckrodt. This is when I had addiction problems, and my sort of drug of choice was made by this Mallinckrodt company. They make Percocet, and this issue got all the way down to $1 a couple weeks ago. Now it's back up around $2.20, and this has the potential to double in value just because it's such a cheap stock. There's always bad news with cruise ships and people getting sick, says Fighter. Yeah. It seems like it's a bit more serious, though, right now. I haven't really gone on many cruises. I went on a cruise of the Greek islands when I was in high school. That's about it for me. Let's try to get... Is that better? Contrast is a little better. There. I don't look like I've got serious acne anymore. So, what to look for moving forward? Well, one thing I didn't mention yet is that the TVIX is down 11 points today. Here's the TVIX, and really it's still in very elevated territory. But if this trend continues, we can see this now. The TVIX a lot of times will lead the VIX when stuff happens. What this is the option prices in the VIX and what's happening to them. And this has gone lower as the VIX went lower, but the normal range is like around 100. So it definitely just coming back to earth. Same thing with the VIX here. If we do take a look at the VIX, we can see here that we've kind of hit this area that we were in a few days ago, and the question is do we make that next move down? And once again, it's not going to depend. It's not just in isolation here. We're looking actually at the options in the SPX, and are we? Yeah, today we didn't move very much, but is it just are the market's just resting here, and we're going to get some more action very quickly? My thought from going through the .com bubble burst in 2001 is that there's some possibility that people just are sick of the stock market. They don't want to deal with it. They go and do something else for a while. And it is possible that the musical chairs just kind of slow down for a while and we just stay in a range and not that much happens for a while. After all this excitement, it kind of it wouldn't surprise me if people just kind of took a break from like chasing up and down the stock market for a little while and we just go sideways. Now, we don't have to go up for volatility to come in. You know, the VIX was very strong last week, all week. Even though we were like rallying and stuff, it was still very strong. I think what's going to determine what the VIX does is each day, how much of a range do we have? So kind of keep that in the back of your head. Are we moving 4% per day? Are we moving 1% per day? Today, we just kind of slowly moved up all day, right? This was like a perfect vol killing day. I'm showing, let's see. So it's showing E-minis up 3.4%, but it was very like orderly, right? We weren't like moving around like boom, all over the place. It just kind of moved up, right? Let's take a look at the daily chart, and in the back of your head, just keep kind of track of how is stuff moving. Is it whipping all over the place, or is it just kind of like in an orderly fashion? You know, we need to see what happens tomorrow. If we just give up what we made today and it just goes straight down the way it went up today, then the VIX isn't probably going to go lower. But if we can put a couple days together of either these up moves or just up day, then sideways, maybe we go up 3, we come back 1, we go up 3, we come back 1. That kind of thing is going to hasten the VIX downward. Now, I don't think a theme has really been playing out so far. It's just one day we have up, big deal. We had a couple days down, now it's one day up. But we can see if we can string some stuff together. If we look here, we've got, as far as VIX sessions, so if we look at 10 days, well, we had, down, up day, down day, up day, sideways day, up at night, basically up day, up day, up day, and now we've got down day, down day. So the question is, can we go sideways in the market or up and put another down day to kind of get through this 50 level? I would love to see us go back down to the 40s. I think once we get, and you can be surprised sometimes with the VIX that like if it starts going lower, it might keep going lower, and it might be a situation where you're like, wow, it seems really cheap at 40 since it's been so high, and then it just keeps going lower and lower, 30, 20, like that. Sometimes the VIX to the downside can be surprising at how aggressively it moves down. So TVIX, we had a big move in the VIX today, but those who are long it kind of got lucky that the term structure was so out of whack, because if this was like a normal market, any other market basically with the VIX down 8, TVIX would get whacked pretty much any other time. If the VIX is down 8 tomorrow, this stuff is going to be down a lot more. It's just that like it's kind of like we went over a bump. We went over a bump and the shock absorbers were completely, open, and we went over the bump and it completely stopped the shock to the downside, and TVIX and these things didn't go down very much. Did a YOLO weekly on CCL, options too cheap. So YOLO, let's take a look at YOLO for a second, just while we're on that. I don't completely understand what you're saying with that comment, but a lot of these things, I just be real careful, folks, because you get these big moves up and you kind of want to chase it. And this is a perfect example here because, yeah, it was great to jump on here around 6, but once we've made this move up like 20% or something, do you really want to jump on there? Because it has a chance of just kind of leaking lower for a few days. I think those traders who are patient here and really pick your spots are going to be the most successful ones. The other one I've been following a lot is Darden. And, I was very frustrated that I missed part of this move. But once it's up here, 60, 67, its dangerous area because it can give back another 10%, no problem, and it still kind of makes sense on the chart. So, keep limber. I would pull up on StockTwits. I believe there's a spot. Let's see if we can do it together here, where you can look at the kind of earnings calendar. I would be doing that. I would be seeing like what is coming up for earnings. You can go and check out trending on here too, which is just a quick and easy way. If you're not in a bunch of stock chat rooms or something, you can just go up to trending here, and it's going to give you just like some issues that are moving. You can also just look on the top here. It's going to give you some issues that are moving around. We can bring down earnings calendar here, and it's going to show you each day what's going on with earnings. And this is important to keep these in mind. Now, some of these names are not known as known. And it shows up here on today. It says like some of the top names that you might have heard of already. One of the ones I'm following, Chewy, was up pretty good today, I think. YOLO as in it. Took a shot in the dark on CCL, calls with profits. Shaking out of my VIX puts, but still got 25% gains. Good. But yeah, check out this earnings calendar each day and see what we've got up on, on deck here, because that's going to really drive the narrative. The other thing is, if you do go to this watch list, I would recommend people get Thinkorswim because it's free. But if you go up under watch list here, right now I'm up here on the top left of this. Let's see if I can make this just bigger for just a second here. You can, all right, so here we go. If you go under watch list here and you click on that, it has these things like top 10 gainers NASDAQ. And sometimes I just flip through this stuff. Top 10 gainers NASDAQ. Okay, it's going to list, and it will list it by percent gain, which a lot of times the biggest percent gain ones are going to be these $1 or $2 stocks, because those are big percent gains. Sometimes it can be better just to look at it in dollar gains. So where is it? Top 10 net gain NASDAQ. And this is going to give you like, what's happening, where the action is today. This analyst upgrades and downgrades is useless right now, pretty much. Top 10 volatility increase. And this just gives you an idea of what's going on out there and what to focus on, and so you can find some opportunities for yourself, which is something certainly we want to be doing in this environment. There is opportunity out here if we just kind of seek it out a little bit. The other thing is, of course, my favorite here, bar chart. One thing that I haven't shown you is the most active options, or also unusual options activity here. It's going to show you if somebody came in and bought 5,000 calls on some little issue or something. This will give you ideas too. And some of the best trades I've ever had were just where I'm looking around at stuff, and I find something and I jump in on it, and nobody else was talking about it. I just happened to be looking through stuff, and I tried something out. I would try that myself if I were you. Let's look at Boeing. Boeing is talked about a lot in our private chat for the Facebook group. We'll talk about Boeing. To me, it kind of looks like a sale. Let me readjust my screen here so that it's not all enlarged like that. To me, Boeing kind of seems like a sale here, but I'm not comfortable enough to actually sell it. Fit the screen. Here we go. But, we got down to 89. Now we're back to 154. It's like, what do you want to do? Well, it might be time to sell some, or to put on some condors or something, and, bet that it's going to stay in a certain range. Seems like a good kind of idea for this one. All right, so I don't want to waste too much of your time here, but I did just want to come on and talk about kind of themes. I hope everybody's staying safe. I know it's this stuff is all a big pain in the neck. And just kind of an update on 401k stuff. It seems like Fidelity hasn't really gotten their ducks in a line so far. They have relaxed the rules for withdrawing from 401k in the United States. Like, you don't have to pay that extra 10% penalty if you withdraw money, and you're allowed to withdraw money without like leaving your job or something. If all you have to do is say like the corona, the whatever, I don't even want to say the term, but the the situation has caused me financial problems, and you self-certify. They don't need any paperwork or anything, and they'll let you take money out. And so the general public, I don't think everybody's totally aware of the fact that they can take money out of their 401k yet, and the brokerages don't have their system set up yet the right way. But as that becomes available, I wouldn't be surprised if we get another wave of selling in the market as people go and take their cash. I mean, just from working with hourly wage workers in the past who had 401ks, the only reason they weren't spending the money is because they couldn't get to it. Now that they can get to it, they might be doing it. And that's a good question with the IRA. We can quickly look it up, but I don't want to like talk out of, just make stuff up, because I don't know the answer. I will find out for you about the IRA. Okay, so here we go. Yeah, I believe this applies to IRAs too. Here we go. The new law is daunting 880 pages long, but it contains lots of good news for individuals and businesses. Here's a column explaining one tax relief measure that can potentially benefit many IRA owners. Here's what you need to know. IRA owners who are adversely affected by the coronavirus pandemic will be eligible to take tax-forward coronavirus-related distributions of their IRA. So yes, that does apply to IRAs also. So you're allowed to take out up to $100,000 from your IRA. And the thing is that you could, if you put the money back in within 3 years of the date that you withdraw it, they act as if nothing happened. And A and B, if you take money out, and you're still going to have to pay taxes on money you made, but you don't have to pay the tax penalty. But the taxes you have to pay if you withdraw money, you don't have to pay for 3 years. You have up to 3 years to pay the taxes. So a lot of reasons for people to be able to access this money. Now, a lot of financial people don't think this is a good thing, because it's hard enough to get people to put money in 401ks and IRAs. And believe me, I try to get my friends to put money in 401ks who are like, workers at the resort that I work at, or like I was managing like hourly workers for a while, and people say, well, I can't afford to do the 401k because I have a kid or something, and I try to explain to them, well, it's matching money. They're giving you free money if you do it, so you almost can't afford not to, but people refuse to do it. But I would think that if people have money in 401k and someone tells them that they can take some of it out, we would see people doing that. So that's another possible thing to see another wave of selling in this market. So just be aware of that, A, for the selling angle, and B, if you are in financial trouble, this is a spot where you could possibly tap a little dough just to get you through the April. There's been a lot of talk about how, like, okay, well, we've had the stimulus package, but the money's not going to come for like probably the month of April, and what are people going to do until then? Well, hopefully people have enough either savings, or if they lost their job, they'll get their last paycheck and can at least make it for a couple weeks without the government like coming in to help them. I would hope that would be the case, but that's a main news story today, that April is going to be very difficult for all these people. We'll have to see what happens. The other thing in the news, Governor Cuomo's popularity has gone up, and I believe the president's popularity has gone up too. I know they've gotten huge ratings. These presidential news conferences have gotten huge ratings. All right, so there you have it. Thanks for joining me for a second here. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I did want to come on and talk about some of this stuff. Okay, question about Thinkorswim. I don't have an Ameritrade account. Is there another way to get a login? I believe you can get the Thinkorswim without having a TD Ameritrade account, either without having an account or you can download the Ameritrade account and you don't have to fund it with any money, and you can still get Thinkorswim. I don't. I'll see if I can put an answer to that in the description, or if somebody else knows, they could put it in chat. But I believe it's free and that you don't have to fund any account to get Thinkorswim. And it's a very powerful thing. I don't even know half the things you can do with it. Sometimes it feels like, but I mean, there's tons of awesome stuff on here. I was just showing people the how it's got all these order books for options, but there's all kinds of other stuff. Like, for example, this market watch here. I don't know. I learn new stuff all the time on this thing. If you go to index watch, it tells you, like, and gives you this visual thing of what stuff is declining and what stuff what's going up and what's going down, basically. Let's see. Pick your industry, and it shows you visually what's going on. I'm not sure why I can't just get the S&P right here, but let me see. Index watch, heat map. So S&P 500. Oh, here we go. It's going to tell you every stock in the S&P 500, and you can visually quickly see at a glance, well, which ones are contributing the most to stuff going down, which are contributing most to stuff going up. So it's very interesting. Hey, no problem, Mr. Monet. Hope you make some money. Just wanted to make sure that everybody wasn't having technical difficulties, because it wouldn't be the first time that I've messed up the sound. All right, maybe we should do some more on how to use Thinkorswim. There's like I said, there's tons of stuff you can do, and you can even run your own scripts to do scans. To scan, like some of the scans I showed you on bar chart, you can do all that stuff on Thinkorswim. And the other great thing about Thinkorswim just is that it has these VIX futures in real time, the data in real time, which is very useful. All right, thanks for checking it out today, folks. You guys are the best. Best of luck. So remember, when you come in tomorrow morning, what are you going to remember? You're going to say to yourself on the open, what's the theme today? Is it everybody's stressed? Is it the president speaking today? Is it the Fed's coming out with a number? What's the theme? And as you go through the day, at the end of the day, could you tell somebody in one sentence, what happened today in the markets? And a lot of times it's going to be something like, oh, well, Apple did this, but you want to feel like you're focusing in on what the main themes are. A lot of times it's going to be what earnings are coming out today, or this earnings after the close, that kind of thing. All right, I've gabbed enough. Thanks for watching. Guys, best of luck tomorrow. The market's over, so get some rest. Stay safe during this time, and I'll talk to you next time on the Short Vol Show Live.